see you. I can see you, Lord, whenever I pray. I see you, Lord. Together we proclaim our high royal institution, Singapore. Reform through the universe, love, harmony, integrity, peace, and unity.
Welcome to the Royal Institutions International Conference with the theme Success Stories of Educators in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic. To formally begin our international conference, we would like to request the Chancellor of the Royal Institution Singapore, Dr. Fellow Professor Dr. Samuel M. Salvador, to deliver his welcome and opening address.
Thanks God that we were able to successfully invite top-notch speakers to share to us their success stories in this pandemic time. Truly enough, teachers are the angels and the gems of our society. Henceforth, it is but just, sound, and proper to give our resounding congratulations to all our teachers. We salute you, our dear teachers. And so, without much ado, on behalf of our founding chairman, Dr. Ang Chang-Soo, allow me to welcome you in this international seminar via Zoom webinar.
May we now request Dr. Fellow Dr. Helen S. Molano, Chief Compliance Officer of Royal Institution Singapore and the President of Royal Institution Philippines, to read the Board Secretary Certification.
Good afternoon, everyone. His Secretary's certification is excerpt from the Royal Institution Singapore Board of Directors' special meeting on September 13, 2021. The following resolution had been passed, approved, and confirmed by the Board of Directors and Governing Council as per Board Resolution number 2021-011.
Our first speaker is a Public Schools District Supervisor of Schools Division Office 1 of the Department of Education, Pangasinan. He is a Doctor Fellow of the Royal Institute of Public Administrators Singapore, a Senior Fellow of the Royal Institute of Educators Singapore, and an International Visiting Professorial Fellow of the Royal Institution Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Fellow Dr. Edwin R. Ferrer.
As an educator, it is very hard to all of us to embrace this new normal, particularly of the crisis of the modern technologies. Using gadgets and connectivity is one of our major problems in the Philippines. But the most important part, if we apply the holistic approach to use the technology, we can avoid stress. We can avoid crisis, because if there is always a problem, there is a sign solution. And let us always be positive to embrace the challenges for this new normal education.
To react to the speech of Dr. Fellow Dr. Ferrer, may we call on Dr. Fellow Dr. Nanita F. Luan, Faculty Member of Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Honorary President of Royal Institute of Psychology Singapore, and an International Visiting Professorial Fellow of the Royal Institution Singapore.
Positive people can inspire and influence others to reframe and to think about things differently. They can be infectious in a good way. You are also an emotionally stable person because of your flexibility in all situations. You accepted intelligently as academician by attending different webinar series.
Our next speaker is a proprietress and the owner of Dr. Marichu Santa Ana Tutorial and Review Center for Teachers, Extension Directress of Victory Elijah Christian College, Principal of Heaven's Door Christian Academy, and a professor of various universities and colleges in the Philippines. She is a Master Fellow of Royal Institute of Business Management Singapore, Royal Institute of Educators, Royal Institute of Management, Royal Institute of Professional Teachers, Royal Institute of Public Administrators, Royal Institute of Research, and an International Visiting Professorial Fellow of the Royal Institution Singapore. Let us give a round of applause to Dr. Fellow Dr. Marichu C. Santa Ana.
Problem now is I'm not a techie in using the technologies. So when I am teaching, the subject that I usually handle in the graduate school is the statistics and research. I don't know how to, I will transfer my learning to my graduate student. I know that I'm only one step ahead to my student. So I must be sophisticated in my teaching.
May we now request Dr. Fellow Professor Dr. Samuel M. Salvador, Chancellor of the Royal Institution Singapore, to react to the speech of Dr. Santa Ana.
With her success stories that she shared to us, including the success stories of her students and her peers, we can safely say that Marichu, a brilliant student of mine, is an inspiration and as a model to all teachers in this big, wide world.
Our next speaker is an Assistant Director of St. Clair College Center for Online Education System. He is a senior member of Royal Institute of Educators Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a big hand to Mr. Raymart C. Ortega.
As teachers, we are expected to be very profound with a sustainable goal number 4, which is the quality education. And because of the pandemic, we all tried our best. Some of us already gave up. Some of us are still fighting and still giving our best. And some of us already in the smooth sailing phase because they've already adapted the present time, which is the needs of pandemic. And because we would like to have and achieve that sustainable development goals number 4, which is the quality education, the inclusivity of education, and the access to the education that our nation and the next generation deserves, we immerse ourselves with the equipment and the tool that could assist us. And that is being ICT-driven and technology-driven teachers. We are now in the immersive world where education is being adapted and being anchored and incorporated with the technology.
We are working as a team, working under one umbrella. And that's it. Be optimistic.
And to react to the speech of Mr. Ortega, may we now call on Dr. Fellow CPA Dr. Donatilla A. San Juan, Faculty Member of Graduate Studies, College of Business Administration of Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and an International Visiting Professorial Fellow of the Royal Institution Singapore.
Championeering. Being a champion. Who is a champion? A champion is someone who has won over a difficult situation, an adversity, a challenge, and he won over it. That is a champion. And pioneer is somebody who has started doing something for the first time. So a championeer is somebody who excelled and won over a difficult situation and excel in being a pioneer or somebody who just started doing it. So in other words, wala pa siyang experience sa isang bagay ay nag-champion na siya. That is a very, very success story, di ba?
At this juncture, may we now call on Dr. Fellow Jeffrey Alan Mazzini, the Chief Executive Officer of AAMC Training Group Australia and an International Learning and Development Specialist of Royal Institution Singapore, to deliver his special message.
I've changed my thinking, and the big thing we've all got to do is change our thinking, change our attitude. If we all face each day with gratitude, So you wake up in the morning, you live for the day. You wake up in the morning, you set yourself some targets to achieve during the day, some happy targets, and at the end of the night you review that you've done them, and as negativity starts to creep into any of your thinking, stop what you're doing, take some deep breaths and get back on track to gratitude. It's the most important thing that I have come out of this virus with. Appreciate everything we've got and don't worry about tomorrow because that never arrives. And thank you.
We will now hear a special message from Dr. Fellow Captain Jitesh J. Poriar, Chief Executive Officer of Bostomer Shipping Singapore and a Dr. Fellow of Royal Institute of Maritime Management Singapore.
This is what I call it a timely change and timeless constraints, where basically the timely changes has been that we have been able to replicate the virtual learning very fast from the in-class learning. We were able to adapt a blended learning, and we did not really look at education as an expenditure, but as an investment. The world is very fast changing, and it's a good news. In last 3 weeks, I stay in Singapore, and I have been to Spain, Germany, France, Poland, Greece, and most of the places I found nobody is wearing mask in public, and life is coming back to normal. And that was very nice to see. It was very nice to see. I also attended some business schools during my trip, and they have started their in-classroom sessions as well. We met a lot of business leaders. Now the life is getting back to normal, and that's something which is a great positive sign.
We will now proceed to the awarding of certificates of recognition to our speakers and panel of reactors. This certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Dr. Fellow Dr. Edwin R. Feller for his invaluable contribution as speaker during the RI's International Conference with the theme Success Stories of Educators in the Midst of COVID-19 Pandemic, held on October 29, 2021 via Zoom's teleconference, given this 29th day of October 2021. Signed, Dr. Fellow Dr. Athena Georgine Ang, President, Royal Institution Singapore, and Dr. Fellow Dr. Helen S. Molano, Chief Compliance Officer, Royal Institution Singapore. Dr. Fellow Dr. Marichu C. Santa Ana as speaker. Mr. Raymart C. Ortega as speaker. Dr. Fellow Dr. Nanita F. Buwan as reactor. And Dr. Fellow CPA Dr. Donatila A. San Juan as reactor. Once again, thank you very much to our dear speakers and panel of reactors. Please give them another big round of applause. To formally end our international conference, may we call on Dr. Fellow Dr. Athena Georgine Ang, President of Royal Institution Singapore, to deliver her closing address.
I would like to share how educators and teachers matter so much more. And despite, all the focus has been on the pandemic and online learning, digitalization, and all the hardships that the teachers have to face, it is not only imparting knowledge that is what makes a teacher, but how the teachers impact their students' lives. May God bless all of you and keep you safe and keep you healthy as we, have heard and see and experience ourselves in the past year, how important health, how important family, how important being thankful, being grateful is. So we are thankful and grateful for all our RI members, and we invite you to keep in contact with us and attend our future events. May the good Lord bless all of you and keep you safe until we meet again online and in person. Thank you, everyone, and have a good month and rest of the year.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe,
Stay.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.